Welcome back. I'm Jake with Sprouting Spoons, and today we're going to be transforming the noble potato into potato gnocchi. So for today's class, we're going to need about 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 egg yolks, 1 carrot, a parsnip, about 4 tablespoons or half a stick of butter, a clove of garlic, 1 beet. I've already roasted and peeled mine. Of course we're going to need a potato, and because I love cheese, we're going to use about 2 tablespoons or maybe a 1/4 cup if you're me of Parmesan cheese, finely grated. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your potato and roast it in a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then when it's done, you're going to have a roasted potato. So once your potato is nice and tender, we're going to go ahead and slice it in half and reveal the inside flesh of the potato. And it's going to be a little warm to work with, so feel free to let it cool down for a bit. But we're going to just jump in here and scoop out some of this flesh away from the skin. You can discard the skin for later. Then we're going to scoop out the other half. Ooh, that is a little toasty, so be sure to be careful with that. We're just going to mash it with our spoon, just so we don't have any big chunks anymore. You could use a fork or a potato masher, whatever you like. Just trying to get it to be a little bit smooth. Okay, after you break that down a little bit, we're going to add into it your 1.5 cups of flour. Just going to let that sit on top for a second to allow the flour to kind of act as a barrier from the heat of the potato, so we can add in our egg yolks. So to get our egg yolks, we're going to crack our egg gently on the table and split it in half, so you have the ability to juggle the yolk back and forth from the white, and it'll drop down into your little bowl there. We'll do one more so you can get another nice good look on it. And the yolk can go just right on top of the flour there. So like I said, we're going to take and crack our egg, open it up to 2 halves, and let that white just fall right down into our little bowl there. We can save that for other purposes. Right now we just want the yolk. We'll just go ahead and add that in to our pasta dough, essentially. We're just going to go ahead and mix that up. After you stir it for a little while, go ahead and get in there with your hand and kind of press it into the dough. And it'll start to form a little ball on you. And you can pour it out onto your surface, like so. And just knead it a few more times. Until your dough has formed like so. After you have a nice little dough ball together, or a little plank like this, you can go ahead and take your rolling pin and just kind of make it an even surface. Go back and forth on it so it stretches nice evenly like so. You want to maybe move the edges a little bit together so it stays into a nice little rectangle shape for you. That way you can have more even pieces of gnocchi. But it's okay, they'll all get a little turned together when we mold them with our fork. But once you have your little, we're at about 1/4 inch or so, we're going to go ahead in here and cut little tiny blobs. We're going to aim for about the size of a nickel or so. Turn all of these the other way. Get our rolling pin out of the way. We're probably done with that. Go ahead and, like I said, make little nickels. You don't have to use a knife for this. You could just use any other sharp or flat steel object would work. Then you have your little bits like this, and we'll go ahead and run it across a fork to give it some little edge lines, which is typical of gnocchi. So we've got our gnocchi in a little pile now, and we're going to take our fork and just run it together. We're going to push into the fork, and it's going to make little lines like that. The lines are there to help it absorb any sauce and just give it a little bit more surface area. And it makes it look pretty, right? So we're just going to repeat that for all of these. And let them drop into our bowl so we can transfer them into the water pretty easily. So after you have all of your potatoes, your little dumplings rolled, we're going to go ahead and dump it into some boiling salted water. And we're going to cook them for about 5 minutes total. You're going to time it so that once the dumplings start floating, you cook them for an additional about 2 minutes or so. So like I said, about 5 minutes total from the time you put it in, but that all depends on how fast your water comes back up to a boil. And while that happens, we can go ahead and cut our vegetables. So for our vegetables, we're going to go ahead and take our carrot and our parsnip, and we're going to just peel it real quick. Go ahead and get both of them out of the way. You can discard your scraps, or you can save them for some vegetable stock. Parsnip skin is maybe a little tougher. I'm just going to peel it right off. Out of our way. And we're going to go ahead and take and cut our carrot in little triangles or so. You could just cut them into little wedges if you'd like. All we're doing is taking our carrot, slicing it once, turning it about 45 degrees or so, and it gives us nice even little pieces. And then we can do the same with our parsnip. A parsnip is just like a carrot. It's the same family. It's just a little jazzier, a little spicier, a little bit more flavor than there. We can set that off to the side. And then we have our beet. I already have this one peeled and roasted and peeled. You can take it, just a raw beet, and just like our potato, roast it for about 45 minutes or so. And then the skin falls off pretty easily. So what we're going to do is just cut it into about 1/4-inch pieces or so. They slice really easily. Just nice big chunks. I like having the beet already cooked as opposed to the carrots because they take a little bit longer and they're a little harder to deal with when they're all raw. I'm just going to dice that up like so and keep that off to the side of our other harder vegetables at the moment. And then we have our clove of garlic, which we can go ahead and just put our knife on and give it a little crush, and that'll remove the skin fairly easily. And for this, we're just going to slice pretty thickly, and we can keep that in its own little pile for when we saute it all together. So once our gnocchis have boiled for about 5 minutes or 2 minutes after they start floating, we're going to go ahead and take our slotted spoon and pull them out. You could go ahead and strain this through a bigger colander if you'd like, but I'm just using the spoon because there's not that many today. So once your vegetables are cut and your dumplings are out of the water, we're going to go ahead and take a large pan and we're going to melt in our 4 tablespoons of butter. And as that melts, you can go ahead and add in your carrots and parsnips and let those just cook away until they're nice and tender. Which would be about 5 or so minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how large you cut them. So after your vegetables have gotten some nice caramelization, some good color on there, we're going to go ahead and add in our potato dumplings and let them get a little color on themselves. So after your dumplings have started getting a nice little color on them, you're going to add in your beets and just get those nice and warm through. And then once that happens, you're going to add in your garlic. So our beets are now warmed up and our dumplings have gotten some color, so we're going to add in our clove of chopped garlic, as well as just a little bit of salt and pepper. If you wanted, you could add in a little sage or oregano, would be delicious. So after your garlic has released some of its nice aroma, about 30 seconds or so, everything should be done, and we're going to scoop in some of our nice vegetables, and these are lovely little dumplings we have, and just make it nice and pretty. And then again, my favorite part, we've got some Parmesan. It's going to be delicious. Well, before I dig in, I just wanted to remind you all, if you liked what you saw, please don't hesitate to like, share, subscribe, maybe even leave a comment, and we'll catch you next time. That potato dumpling is so nice and all crisp, and the vegetables are so tender, and I can't get enough.